Hello, this is Trevor. Today we're working on another CORS lab in Portsbigger's Web Security Academy. This time it's a CORS vulnerability with internal network pivot attack. This is a tough one, and I did not solve it on my own. So again, in this lab, we're going to walk through the solution, and it's probably going to be a long video. There's a lot of steps to do before we can complete the tasks. So let's get started and then we'll walk through the steps. Okay. So I'm going to open the lab. Please remember to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. I would appreciate it. Let's look at the steps that I kind of wrote out. This is what we have to do. So one thing keep in mind is this website, we're not going to really attack it at all. The only thing we're going to use is the exploit server. So I guess they had to have something, but anyway, we're going to use the exploit server to deliver an XSS payload that scans an internal network for a website. That website needs to be vulnerable to CORS, so we can read the response. Once we, and then we're going to get the, we don't actually need this. Once we identify the IP address on port 80, port 8080, right? Pretty sure it's port 80, yeah. Then we're going to get the HTML code of the login page so we can get the Csrf token. Using that, we're going to test for cross-site scripting on that page. And this is the format that we're going to use. Once we've verified the XSS vulnerability, we are going to use it to read the contents of the admin page doing something, with a payload, something like that. Once we've got the admin page read, there'll be a form on it to delete a user. And so then we're going to use the XSS again to delete the user. And we're going to do that by, putting in an iframe and then finding the form, adding the value or modifying the value, and then submitting that form. That's what we got to do. Sweet. So let's get started. There's really nothing to show, again, because the attack is on a different page, but we'll call it internal network pivot attack. Vim internal network pivot attack.py. We'll start off with, one thing I do want to do is I want to try to do this without using Collaborator. And I want to do that just because I think it'll be a little bit more of a challenge. And because I already looked up the solution, I want some kind of challenge and not just follow that. So we'll use the exploit server log, copy, paste log here to extract data from the victim and then read it with Python. I also really do like the idea of, otherwise we would need to ask for input in the script, go to Collaborator, copy, paste. This way we don't have to do that. Okay. So let's give that a shot. Number one, we need to create we need a, not a port scan, a host scan payload equals. This is going to be the first thing we deliver. we can start it with script and end it with script. And then we need to go through each of these IPs, try to get, make a request for a web page on port 8080 on that IP, and then try to read the response. If we are able to read the response, then that's the page we want. We'll encode, or we'll, just notify. Yeah, let me show you. Okay, so is this a blog? Does it? Oh, it doesn't matter at all because we're not attacking the site. So we want for how do you do? Gosh, it's gonna be a long video if I can't even remember how to do a freaking for loop. MDN JavaScript for loop, loops and iteration. Okay, we'll do it like that unless there's do while no. We could incorporate the continue for in for of we'll do just the simple for statement right there. I gotta actually look how it's done. Let's just copy this. And we want step to start with 1. Since it's the network, we want it to end at 254. So does that mean we put 255 here or 254? 5. Runs 5 times. So it does not, just like, okay, yep. That'll work. 255, which means it'll stop at 254. And then we want a fetch. We need to create the URL. We could do const URL equals HTTPS or HTTP. I don't know. $. Step, no. 192.168.0.step. We'll get just that page. Fetch URL. Do we need any options? I don't believe so. Then and we need the response, right? Response. Let's look at how I did in one of these other ones. But we don't need the response.json. We need URL, yeah, just response.text this time. Does that need to have parentheses? Fetch response.text, or is it looks like it does need the parentheses. Okay. And then here we want, let's call it data, sure. Here we want to read that data. So, oh no, here we want to, if we're able to read it here, then we want to notify ourselves that that IP actually existed. So we can do fetch, and we're gonna need to do the URL. Then we can do like this. URL const let's define the sorry, I'm all over the place. Const exploit URL equals, here we want the, from Python, we want the exploit URL, and then question mark IP equals, and then we want the same thing, 192.168.0 $, step, I want that, yeah, I want this, and then this, and then I'll need F here, and I'll need to double this up, and this one. Okay, so we've got, oh, and I need to double this one up too. And this one. Okay. So we're saying for every IP from 1 to 255, do a fetch for that URL. If there's a response, get the response text, and then, which we don't really need this, but it'll be returned to this function as data. We're gonna exploit URL, define the exploit URL here, and then we'll do fetch exploit URL. That looks okay to me. What we need to, that goes right there. No. Yes. And then, okay. What if we have an error? So, .catch catch, who needs to do this? Oh, and I need to close that. Open, we're not going to do anything with it, so we can just leave it like that. All right, this is getting close. It may, step 1 of 5 may be done, or at least close. We need to get the exploit URL, so that's in the site exploit URL here. So it just needs, it needs nothing. So exploit URL equals blog.get exploit URL. Scan, and then we need to deliver that payload. So blog.post exploit. And does it just need the payload? Site post exploit needs to know in the response body. response body equals host scan payload. Okay, let's give that much a try and see how we did. Python internal. What we expect to see is to have at least one IP get posted to the log right here. That's what we hope to see anyway. Let's visit the log. Well, we must have made a mistake because I don't see it. Let's view it ourselves. See. Oh, crap. Do you notice how this is not interpolated? What did I do wrong? This is not, and this is wrong. Bound method site. What the crap? Okay, I did some dumb stuff. One, that needs parentheses so it runs. Why didn't this run though? Okay, that looks good except for... Oh no, that's right. So if I view exploit now, inspect console, let's see. Delivered a victim. No. Let's do a quick log here so that fetch URL, then response. Let's do right somewhere right here. So console.log fetching. Let's do it with interpolation. Fetching URL $URL. Is it HTTPS or is it... No, it's not HTTPS, and I forgot the port. Dang it. Idiot. Okay. HTTP step port 8080. All right. Now we should have it. Let's see. No. We don't have the secondary fetch. Which I expected. Block loading mixed active. Oh, that sucks. So we need to deliver it over HTTP. Okay, no problem. We've are ready for that. URL is HTTPS. We want that to be off. So here we can do URL is HTTPS equals off. Right? Right now it's on. That should be off. Let's try that. Dang it. No. Didn't get it. I thought, oh, I need to go here. What? Proxy, HTTP history, the latest, deliver, get delivered to victim, post, URL is HTTPS off. That's what we want, right? If we go to here, maybe I don't have the right terminology. Instead of HTTPS. Let's see what that says, and then we'll... Oh, crap. I don't have this on burp. Store, and then we'll turn it off and do another store. Post. I don't see... Oh, maybe that's only given when we deliver it to the victim. Let's try viewing it now. That seemed like it worked. Let's deliver. And we're going to check two things. One, we want to check this. Post. Oh, if it's off, it just doesn't include that. So it's like a flag, not a... Okay. No problem. We can deal with that. So we want right here if exploit URL is none, right here, if URL is HTTPS equals on, we will do this. There's got to be a better way. Well, yeah, we can do this like this. Okay, sorry, like this. This will be better. What I was going to do is duplicate this definition twice. But if not, what I can do instead is just remove that item from the dictionary, which now that I say it out loud, I don't know how to do. A equals B1 C2 dir A. Is there like not, well, maybe pop or clear help a dot pop, remove specified key and return. That's fine, we can do that. All right, so we can do a dot pop B and then A. Okay, so that's how we'll do it. So we'll do data.pop URL is HTTPS, like that. That should remove it. What is the issue? Line too long. You're out of your mind. line too long. Somehow my configuration is not right because that I'm okay with a line that long. All right, let's close this one for now. Yeah. So now let's try that. I'm hoping things will go faster once we've got the, once we've tackled the first thing, because this is taking a little bit longer to get the first one than I expected. Hey, but look at that. 071. Our format is kind of goofy because we need a period here. But we did get it. Sweet. So, step number 1, almost done. We just need to now extract that. Okay, that looks good. So we're going to do the same regex, start with one that comes from 10.0, and then we'll look for the question mark IP, and then get the IP address. I don't want it to find this one. Maybe I'll put a requirement for 3 periods. Is there a way to clear the log? I don't see that. All right. So there's step 1. Let's label this. Step 1. Oh, it's going to complain because I need a space. And then let's get the IP address, and then we'll say step 1 is done. So we need to do like we did in breaking in one of the other ones. Yeah, this. But we did it better in this one. We'll snag this logic. Response equals shop. And this is, we have a blog. Well, it's really shop, but whatever. We need to import RE. Oh, and we're also going to need to import time. Import time, because this will take a bit for it to run. So after we post exploit and before we do the git log, time.sleep, let's sleep for 5 seconds. Log.info, sleeping for 5 seconds to let the victim scan hosts. Okay. We don't want key, we want IP. And then we want, we'll do it like this. 0-9 1,3, and then a dot, and then do that multiple times. I think this will work. We can check with that regex 101, which probably want to do. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's check that. This is in Python, Csrf. So Let's just copy a bunch of these. Copy. We'll go to here and go to regex 101. Paste that. And we will copy this. We want Python. Okay. So I must have screwed up in here. Matches the previous token between 1 and 3 times. Huh. Oh, that is right. And here's one that we want. Okay. Ends in a space. So we start off with 10.0, anything. And then we have a question mark, IP equals, and then a capture group. So that sucks. I don't know why it's not. Matches the single character, literal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Space. This is what I want to match. Why is it not? I don't want a multi-line. And I don't want it global. IP equals. That looks good. That's present in the list below. 0-9. I don't understand why this is not working. This looks good to me. So, IP equals capture group 1 or 0-0-9. Previous 1, 3. And then do that all again. Oh, maybe it's probably that last period. Damn it. Okay, but other than that, it's right. So let's go here. And I'm going to paste it just to make sure I have it right. So I'm going to delete this to there. Join that line. That question mark needs to be on the inside. Boom. Okay. M.pattern search. Vuln IP equals M1. Print vuln IP. Sweet. So that should get us the vulnerable IP. Boom. There we go. We know that the vulnerable IP is 71. So, step 1 is done. Woo! Easy peasy. All right, step 2. HTML code of the login page so we can get the Csrf token. And did I walk through everything we're going to do? Yeah, I did. Okay. So, step 1 is done. Step 2. We need to fetch that URL, so script, we want get Csrf payload equals f script and end script. The URL will be, so we can do const URL equals, here we want HTTP to do, and then the vulnerable IP, so $, or nope, vuln IP, port 8080 / login. And then we need to fetch URL dot then response dot text. Here we're just going to get that response text dot then encode it, URI encode it, and then send it to ourselves so we can look at it. Well, it will be data fetch. Here we want the exploit URI, the boom exploit URL, question mark. This is login. Login what? HTML? Sure. Equals. Oh, this needs to be quoted, by the way. And then here we're going to do plus the encode URI component, and we're going to encode the data. Let's make this a little bit more readable. Fetch URI, then response text. So this returns the HTML into a text, gives it to this function as data, and then in this function we run this command, which is fetch exploit URL, login HTML, and then encode the URI. Yeah. That looks good to me. That's it for that payload, right? We just want to be able to read the data and then eventually extract the CSRF. So we don't need to sleep for 5 seconds on this one. And let me make sure I change this to get CSRF payload. And then we'll do time.sleep 1. We won't get the log yet. But let's see how we're working, you know. If we get back the URI encoded or URL encoded HTML contents of the login page, which would be pretty cool. Hey, looks like we did. Let's sweet. So let's, instead of doing anything with it, let's do this in Python. So number 1, we need to response this. We need something like this. and then this and this. Okay. So the pattern will be R, and we're looking for same beginning, which is 10.0. Instead of IP, we want, what did I say? Login HTML equals, and then we want a capture group until the space. So that's easy. Why is that R? What's wrong with that? Oh. Duh. Okay. And then here we can do HTML content equal H1. Let's from URL lib.parse import unquote, and then here we can do unquote M1 and print HTML content. Okay, let's see if we got it that far. Woohoo! And the page, were we getting the fetch? We were getting the login. Okay. And there is the CSRF token. We can extract that with JavaScript, but we did successfully get it. We can extract this with JavaScript or with Python. If we extract it with CSR or cross-site or JavaScript, sorry, we can automatically use it. If we do it with Python, we have to send it to the log server, read it from the log server, and then use it. Let's start with, I don't think step 2 is going to be necessary. I think we're going to duplicate a lot of it here, and yeah, so instead of just sending the login, let's get this, instead of fetching, let's read the CSRF token and then submit. We want this to go to form to, we'll post to the /login the CSRF value, the username, and the password. And we don't care what the password is because the username field has a reflected cross-site scripting vulnerability. So instead of writing step 3 again, I'm going to do step 2. We get the data, and then we want the CSRF token. So we can do data, whoops. Data dot match, right? I think this is how you do a I'll have to check. Name equals double quote CSRF double quote value equals double quote. And then we'll capture dot asterisk question mark. Where's that one? That one doesn't exist. Okay. So let me look at the solution because they did, well, I can look at MDN. MDN JavaScript regex. RE. Yeah. How do you match? String replace this. Paragraph.match. So they define regex as global. We don't need it global. So I think we're right. The text dot match with the regex. Okay. Data dot match. So we can store this as, let's open a freaking thing. Whoops. Not there. There. And const Csrf equals this. Oh, this needs to be here. What's wrong with this? Oh, I don't have the freaking doubles there. And then now that we have the CSRF, we can get the form, or we can just post. So fetch, let's define the freaking URL again. Do we need to? No, because we already have the URL. Because it's defined right there. Fetch, but we want, is it mode post? And then we'll need the body and stuff. Let's empty end fetch post form. Whoops. Pest form. Using, let's try this one. Method, not mode. Method post, and then body, and we may need to add the header. Uploading file. We may need to provide that content type header. Was there a post form? I don't want post JSON data. This. But I don't want it multi-pipe form encoded. Oh. I want it form URL encoded. We'll just put this in the data and then add the appropriate header. Hope that makes sense. So, one, I need to change this, change the word method. Two, I need to add this post headers will be content type. And then this is that multi-part, this. Not multi-part, but Okay. Now we need the body, which will be a string, right? Let's clean this up a little bit. There. Okay, so the body will just be yeah, we're not going to use form data. We're just going to make it look like we don't have an example, but we'll just put CSRF equals. Here we'll put the CSRF data, which we have it. So $CSRF. We'll make this backticks. And we got to double these. And then we'll do ampersand. Ampersand is correct. Username equals. Here we'll put the payload. Do I want to define that? I'll define that in Python and not. I think that'll make it easier to make changes if we need to. And what is it? Password equals test. Whatever. Okay. So we need XSS payload equals, let's do it like the example. So we'll do single quote, boom, 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 img source equals, we'll put our collaborator client or collaborator URL in single quotes, fine. No, it should be double quotes. Collaborator URL, or no, we want the exploit URL. So, where the hell? My goodness. Where do we have the, oh, right there. Exploit URL. Exploit URL. Oh, beast is awake. Slash XSS. I'll shut my door here if he doesn't. SSX worked. Let's do it like that. And then close that. Close the single quote. Change this to XSS payload. Okay. So what did I just do? We get the page, find out the CSRF value, and then use that in a post as we fetch this, that if it works, the victim will visit the exploit URL with a parameter XSS worked equals 1. Whew. Let's try this one. So really this is step 2 and 3. And let's see what we got. I don't see the is worked. I see the IP. Here's a previous login. I don't see the is worked. So let's see what XSS worked, not is worked. This doesn't look right. Okay. This needs to be well, let's view it. This may actually it's gonna error out on me. So I'm just looking it over to see where I may have messed up. Data.match. Oh, do I need a number here? Retrieves the result of matching a string. So what if we did, instead of run array, it returns an array. So I need to change my payload to account for that array. Right here, is JavaScript 0 or 1 based? Let's go back to this and do 0. Yeah, that's right. R0. Okay. I don't know if that was the only error that we had. Log. We don't get the XSS worked. There must be something else wrong with this. I don't know what it is. So we set the URL, boom. We fetch that URL, we get the response text, pass it as data. We get the data.match Csrf value. That should be right. What we can do to troubleshoot is throw in like another fetch right here after this const Csrf. Let's do that just to see if we've got it good that far. So right here we can do fetch. We want not the URL. Fetch. We want the $. No, the exploit URL / question mark, and this got to be quotes, double quotes. It shouldn't matter. CSRF equals, and then CSRF. Okay, let's try that to see if we get the CSRF request to the log server. If so, then it's a problem with the post. Where do we want to go? Here. It's $, so I did not. Damn it. I need the backticks are backticks here and here. What? Oh, we got the wrong. So maybe it's like Python and I need to get value 1. Yeah, that worked. We still don't have the post. So we've got this up to the CSRF working. Now we need the post. We'll leave this. Doesn't hurt. Fetch URL, which is vulnerable RP/login. That's what we want. Oh, do we want that? Where did it actually post? It was this form. Oh yeah, form to login. Okay, that's fine. Headers, content, data, form encoded, body. Let's do the same here. Instead of this URL, we'll change this to for now, exploit URL / form equals, we'll just do, no, form. Let's just do it like that. That way we can look and see what that post looks like, see where I've screwed up there. Once we get this step done, I'm probably gonna step away for just a minute. You know, I'll pause the video. Form, post form, that's what we want. What was the, can we not see the body? Well, crap. Should we try posting this to Collaborator to see? Let's do that real quick. So burp, Collaborator client, copy to clipboard, 3. So instead of exploit URL, I want HTTP paste like that. Let's try that. request Csrf and username. Ah, suck. This looks like it needs to be URL encoded. Crap. But that's an easy fix. So if that's the only issue, no problem. So body CSRF is fine. We can do the end that plus. Do we need? No, we don't need that. We can do here encode URI component this. Isn't that what it is? Didn't I use it up here? Encode. I thought I used it already. Let's go here. JavaScript encode URI component. URI component. Encode URI component. What am I missing? Oh, because dang it, this is in Python. Ha. XSS payload. Well, that's cool. So we can just do quote. And what's the problem with this? Undefined named quote. No, it's defined. Right? Right. Oh, nope. It's not. Okay. Now let's try it. Sometimes I think I made this harder than it should be. Only because it's, keeping track of what language I'm in, what context. Oh, we need to go actually here and check out this. That looks good. Now, let's go back here and switch this back to exploit URL. Fetch. Wait, what? No, not exploit URL. We want HTTP vuln IP 8080/login, which was just URL. Fetch boom $sign URL nope, login. Which, why do I do that? Why don't I just do this? Fetch URL. The URL is here, defined here, which is that. We're gonna post it. Okay. Come on. Let's see XSS worked. We want to go here. We do not see XSS worked. And that's what I wanted to see, right? Our payload, image source, exploit URL, XSS worked. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I won't do any work. I'll think about it, of course, so that I come back smarter, but yeah. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm back. I looked at the solution and I had made a mistake. So it's not in a post, it's actually in a get. So let's define const XSS URL equals, and here, what do we want? We want it to be the $ URL, which is defined here. And then we want this CSRF equals $CSRF ampersand username equals, we'll do the same that we did below, quote XSS payload, and then ampersand password equals test. And then all we need to do is then fetch XSS URL, and we can delete all of that. We need to close this. And I think, yeah, this is part of that. So it needs to go here, and that's part of that. Okay. So let's see how that works. I don't know if the... Ooh, good. Site's still live. When I go to the log, refresh this. Dang it. Still did not get it. What did I mess up? So the URL will be this $CSRF, which we know is correct. Username will be the XSS payload, which is that. And password equals that. The only thing, I think I remember it being single quotes here. That shouldn't make a difference. If this doesn't work, what we can do is use the collaborator again to get information back. It did not work. Okay, so XSS, that looks fine. Instead of fetching this, let's fetch the collaborator URL. And so let's const collab URL equals, go here, copy clipboard. We'll do HTTP, and then we'll do here, we'll do $URL equals, and then boom, 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 XSS URL. And then here, we'll do collab URL. And that will get the collab URL with this, which hopefully shows us where we messed up. Quest to collaborator. Login, CSRF, ampersand, username, which should be our payload. Worked, password equals test. Everything looks okay to me. Let's double check. So that looks right. Login, CSRF, ampersand, username. We can decode this just to check. Decode as URL, image source. That looked right. All we need is a get to there, and password equals test. So let's look at the solution. They have this time that seems unimportant. We'll add it if nothing else comes up. So username equals vector. The vector is what we had. Password equals test CSRF. Only thing is this time equals date now. Let's try adding that. So we want to add right here. Time equals $, boom, boom, date, now, ampersand. The order shouldn't matter. Let's send that and see, make sure I did it right. What the hell? I don't see the time now. Oh, right there. Duh. I did that right. Okay. %3. All right, well, that looks right to me, so let's try XSS. Still don't have the XSS working. So I have something else wrong. Flip. Flip, flip, flip. Image source. We have, let's go look at the solution. And the payload, which is this. From there to there. Copy. Well, I have that. That shouldn't matter, but let's remove it. Where is that? So that's the, well, no, because it worked fine here. It should work fine here. Our payload has got to be right, because the injection point is ending the double quote, ending the tag, and then inserting a image tag, ending the double quote, ending the tag, insert an image tag. We have that right. So it's got to be our delivery, which comes down to this XSS URL. Maybe it's this quote and not. All right, let's do this. Const. Let's name it vector, just like they did. Vector equals. And we'll do single quote. And then add this to here. Actually, we'll do backtick. And then the exploit URL will get provided from Python. And now that we have vector defined, so we're going to write here, instead of quote, we're going to do encode URI component. And this will be vector. We need a $, double curly, and password test. Okay. So let's comment this line out so it doesn't give us an error. What's wrong? Too long, that's fine. Okay. Thinking that was the issue. I don't know. Maybe because of the question mark in the vector. No. Damn it. What the hell? URL. Start there. That should be right. Question mark time equals datetime now ampersand CSRF. And that should be correct. And username. This is our payload. Code URI component, which is vector. Exploit URL. That should be right. And password equals test. Okay, I'm going to have to stop. I've got someone at the door. Okay, so I took a little bit of a break and I figured out the issue. And it came down to I was doing fetch right here instead of location. And if I had thought about it, fetch won't work, right? Because what I need to have happen is I need this cross-site scripting exploit to get executed. And fetch won't execute the JavaScript like a browser would. So I needed to actually visit the URL with the browser, and I can do that using the location API. So So yeah, anyway, that's where we are. This part is now done. I've got I've got the results. Let me show you that real quick. XSS worked. Boom. So let's finish this one off. We'll do this, and we'll change this to be XSS worked. Spell it the same that we did here. There we go. And space, and then we can do it. Here I'm just verifying that it worked, right? So if M1 equals 1, it's probably text. So I'll do that. Log.info, XSS worked. Otherwise, else, maybe sys.exit. We can't continue if, you know, we can't execute the XSS. Sweet. So that should be it. We'll check over here and make sure we get the log XSS worked. Yes. All right. Whew. Okay, so those 2 steps are done. Now we need step 4, which if you look over here, now we need to get the contents. We need to see what the admin page HTML looks like. So we are going to do a lot of the same. In fact, exactly the same. So I can either duplicate this, which is wrong, but in this case, I want to duplicate it. And this will show kind of the progression, right? So do as I say, not as I do kind of thing here. Step 4, we want to get admin page HTML. To do that, we're going to change our vector to something like this. So iframe source equals, we're going to double quote it, even though they don't. Boom. On load equals new image. So we're creating an image element, and we're setting the source to, we're going to actually, we're inside backticks. So let me just delete the end of this. So I'm not going to put the single quote plus collaborator URL. I'm going to use the exploit URL, which I need to do with with exploit URL. And then question mark. Let's do it HTML, admin HTML equals. And then here we need the $, double encode URI component, this dot content window dot document dot body dot inner HTML. Boom. Close off the onload. Oh, we need to close off the double quote, curly braces first. Close off that. We can delete those. I don't know where those came from. We can end the iframe. Like that. Okay. That looks reasonable to me. That's going to be our payload or our vector that gets inserted here. Sweet. Do we want, yeah, we want location, XSS URL, all of that remains the same. Let's post this. We'll sleep. We'll do up until here, but I'm going to just copy this now, and then we'll comment out this. And we should put like log.info executing step 4. Oh, crap. I need to change this body. Change word to be get admin page HTML. And here we will do executing steps 2 and 3. And remember, these are my steps, not the steps that they have in the solution. Executing step 1. Okay, let's run this again. And what we expect to see is the HTML from the admin page, where we can view how that, right here, what that form looks like. And we don't see it, which is very disheartening. Now, so we got the XSS worked. Some issue here in this. So exploit URL should be fine. We've defined that up here, and that's in Python. Admin HTML equals encode URI combine inner HTML. Vector should be fine. That should be fine. Text, data match, Csrf. Ooh, why don't we see this Csrf request in the logs? So something's wrong. They got delivered step 4, but did not. Something's wrong. Let's take a look at it. Script const vector admin new image source equals, we don't have, shouldn't we have like a single quote there? Pretty sure. Let's take a look. Yeah. A single quote. We should. Source. Single quote. We can do that. And then code URI component. right? Here we need a single quote, and then we need a double quote to close that. Collaborator code equals, what do we name it? Admin HTML. Oh, you know what we don't have? Freaking backtick to end this backtick. That's got to be a problem. So let's take a look. See if we've got the HTML now. No. Damn it. XSS worked. All right. Well, let's put a semicolon there. Const URL, const vector. That's fine, that's fine. Fetch the URL. Grab the CSRF, fetch the exploit URL with the CSRF. This should all work to here, but somehow we're getting an error up here. And I'm looking up here to see source, admin, and then we have onload equals new image dot source single quote exploit URL. So that should be interpolated, and it is. We got end single quote, which is from here, and double quote, which is the end of the onload, and the iframe, and then end the backtick. What the heck? That looks good to me. This dot content window. Well, it shouldn't be. It's because, let me just make sure I spelled it right. This dot content window dot document dot body dot inner HTML frame. All right. Gosh dang it. I hate making so many mistakes that are hard to troubleshoot. This is what we have, and this is from the solution. Okay, so I'm going to delete this to this. Frame source. They don't have double quotes here, but I don't think they're right necessarily. Onload equals new image dot source equals. They have a single quote here because they escaped the single quote here because they started off with a single quote. We use backticks, so we don't need this. We can go straight there. Exploit URL gets interpolated by Python, which will replace this. Then we've got the question mark, dev code equals. I have admin HTML equals. That's fine. Then encode URI component this dot content dot document dot body dot inner HTML. I close the single quote from here. I close the double quote from here. Close the iframe, and then I close the backtick. That looks right. What the hell? Damn it. Get admin paid. Csrf is defined here. Vector is defined here. Password is fine. Location equals, let me just to check that. It should be right. Location equals. This is their step 3. Location equals URL. Is there anything else? No, everything else looks fine. They fetched the URL, and then using the text, they use that, pass it in up here to grab the CSRF value. Let me run this again, because things change. If you don't change the code and then run it multiple times, sometimes it works. I'm kidding, of course. This should make no difference. Problem I have right now, is that when we go to step 4, we only get it once. Where in step 3, we get that, we get the CSRF. Does fetch. So there's an error between here and, let me define the vector. Let me define the vector here. Why not? Then, if we get this CSRF, we know that the vector is the problem. Const vector equals. This should be just a freaking. If it's a problem, I'll stop using the template literals or whatever and do it like they do with the plus. Which is frustrating because this should work. And I want to use template literals. I like that. And it freaking worked. Gosh, dang it. All right. So we're doing template literals. I'm going to change this to a single quote. And I'm basically going to do the same that they have right there, except for I'm going to use double quotes around the source. I don't know why they're not doing that. Onload new image dot source. Exploit source, we need a backslash, a single quote. Exploit URL is populated by Python, so should be no issue there. Admin URL right here. I'm going to do source equals single quote plus encode URI component this plus single quote. Okay, let's compare that to what they have. Which one is theirs? The second one. Just delete this one. Source. I like my double quotes. I'm keeping those. It'll really piss me off. So right here, no, that's all fine. I escaped the single quote because I have to. Exploit URL, admin, HTML equals. I end this and I add it to this. I need to include an escaped single quote after that single quote, which is in vector escaped single quote. So I'm plus this, and that needs to be that. All right, let's try that. Man, this is making me not a happy camper. Let's see what we did. We don't even have CSRF anymore. So I definitely messed something up. Crap. All right. What in the world could I have messed up? Const exploit URL equals single quote, and we're gonna do boom exploit URL. This is just so that we transfer it from Python into JavaScript, and then down here const vector equals single quote iframe source. I'm gonna have to remove these double quotes. I don't know why that would cause an issue, but, and then here I'm going to do double quote plus exploit URL. Yep, that's what I spelled it. And then plus single quote this plus this and the single quote and the double quote. Jeez Louise. I want to keep this but not have it be in the JavaScript. I guess I could have just done this. That should be fine. What am I going to do with this video? This is super long, so if you see it, CSRF, what the mother? Where's the exploit 9729? What the heck? Unexpected token string literal 972. Oh, it's the backslash. I need a double. Gosh dang it. That's gotta be the issue. I'm going back to using, whoops, this one with the interpolation. And I'm gonna fix it with that. And one more right there. Oh, crap. Super duper annoying. This better work though, because after all that troubleshooting and, well, we got the CSRF flip, but not the freaking equals. So we didn't fix anything. I mean, we sort of did. Let's try this. So I'm going to comment this one, uncomment this one, add in the backslashes. See if we get any further. We do not get any further. Problem is, so we're good until here. One of these two. Do they both work the same? Let's go back up. Yeah, they both work the same. So I'm going to use the one I like more, which is the using the template literals, which is, so this one I'm going to delete, but I'm going to keep it around just in case. So I'm going to comment it out. And then this one, I'm going to uncomment. Now, const XSS URL. We've got some issue. Let me submit this and we'll look at the payload. We'll look at it in the exploit server. Or close this and this. Let's view just to see if we do have any errors. No errors. view. We got an error, but it was late. So get login. This one obviously didn't work. Get the exploit. Oh, this was tried to do it over HTTPS, redirected to HTTP. It executed the first payload, which meant to fetch the login. This returned none. So let's look at, we can't even see the headers. Which we should be able to see in proxy. Get/login, which failed. Okay, no problem. Let's go back and look at the payload. See what we think about that. So this is fine. Exploit URL is OA2F is good. Fetch URL, which is this. Response text. Then pass in data. So const CSRF equals data match CSRF value. This, and then we're fetching the exploit server with the CSRF value. So far, this all works. In the next line, we define a variable vector. This will equal a single quote, double quote. I thought I used the template literals here. Huh. I am not. I don't know. Oh. I'm definitely not using the template literals. Fine. Whatevs. All right. iframe. Let's remove these. And deliver. Store. Deliver. That did not work. Image source. We need to escape this single quote. Exploit Academy admin HTML. Equals, and then you encode URI component this dot content window dot document dot body dot inner HTML. That looks right to me. What if we did add in a fetch, like basically this. But instead of CSRF, we put it as a vector. We'll need to encode URI and component. Encode URI component vector. And yeah, let's just see how that works. We did not get it. Let me just refresh, just to double check. Did not. Okay. So we know the problem is definitely in the definition of vector, which I don't understand how that's... All right. We're going to go here. I'm going to paste this. I know it's undefined. But everything else looked good, right? Const other equals. But look how they have it without space right here. Do you think that's it? Is those spaces? Oh, and I got another couple right here. Dang it. Oops. Store. Deliver. No. Where was that page we were playing with? Damn it. So why is mine coded this way? Oh, it's because I want this to run on in the payload. Oh my gosh, I am an idiot. I apologize to everybody for my inability. Gosh. All right, we want boom, boom. We can, well, let's delete the plus. We don't need a plus, right? We need to end the single quote. Oh, yeah, we do need to add the single quote. Plus. All right, so we open it here, close it here, and then we need to open it here because we need No, we don't need to reopen it again. We don't need a plus. Source will just equal that. Okay, so I hope you understood what I was messing up there. I was doing the single quote so that it executed in a different layer. I want these single quotes to be not viewed until it gets to the other layer. And I say layer like that's going to make you... I don't have an easy way to explain it. Let me get it right. Yes. Son of a gun. All right. So if you think about it, we have the XSS that executes in the victim, and that's this new image dot source, right? And then we have the XSS that's going to execute this plus here. We don't want this to be interpreted as XSS until it is added as the source here to this image. So we escape these single quotes so that this part, this is the literal source of the image. All of this, we want all of this to be the literal source of the image. Literal meaning none of this is interpolated by JavaScript. It is placed there as the literal source, so that when we do location XSS, we trigger this this image gets loaded with the literal source that reads from the iframe, the parent of the iframe's body inner HTML, and sends it to us. I'm sorry. That's the best I can do. I don't feel like that's a very good explanation, but all right. We now have the freaking what we wanted, which is this. So let's grab this. Here. Oh, come on. Can I do shift home? Ha. Okay, copy there, decoder, control A, V, decoded HTML. Let's, how do we expand this window? Come on, where's the handle? All right, whatever. A, C, we'll add another. Okay, so we've got, this should be the admin page. CORS, whatever, go to exploit server, whatever. Widget lab says not solved. /home /admin panel /my account form style admin /delete. So it's got a CSRF and a username, and that's how we delete the user. Sweet. So we are on step 5 in this video that will never end. We don't need any information other than what we got. I guess we can do like we did up here and rest pattern. No, that's the vuln IP. I guess we didn't do that. But, I mean, we can at least get the rest. We'll do that, this. Yeah, we'll do all this. And we named this admin HTML. So I'm going to change that here. Admin HTML. Pattern equals that. We don't need this. And then we want to URL, we'll print it, URL decode and print it. And then we'll comment out the print. So HTML equals admin HTML equals M1 R1, and then we'll do unquote that, and then we'll print admin HTML. That should be the same content as this, just up here. And then we'll start on step 5, which will be our last step. And hopefully we've done all the hard stuff now. Perfect. So that step 5 is easy. We want to have a payload. We want to post it. Let's start with that. And we'll call this delete Carlos. Delete Carlos. Okay, script. Got that. Exploit URL. That's cool. Fetch. Form style. Method post. I wonder if we have to post this. We didn't have to post the other one. But whatever. Let's move this vector up here. And let's think about how we... I honestly don't use the XSS to delete. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's how we can do it. Sweet. So we're going to do iframe, source, admin, onload. We want const f equals this dot content window dot document dot forms. We'll get the first form. We're not going to test for username. We'll just get f dot username dot value equals, and then now we can do Carlos. We need, I'm gonna do template literals here because I'm a glutton for punishment. Carlos. Boom. And then they have a comma. If, oh, that's because of the, we'll just do a semicolon f dot submit. Boom. Okay, so we're on load. We're setting a variable f to document.forms. We're setting the value of the username field to Carlos, and then we're submitting it. The CSRF will get submitted by the victim, So we don't have to worry about that. Boom. Fetch data. We do need this, and that, and then that. We'll do time.sleep 1 blog.is solved. Which I think, we need to make sure we use our payload, delete Carlos there. Man, I think that's it. Please, oh please let it be it. This video is way, way, way too long. But whatever, this is the struggle I went through to get this solved. I'm not sugarcoating it here. Yes! Boom! Lab is solved. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Boom. My goodness, that was it was a tough one, but I don't think it was necessarily super tough because of the vulnerability. I think I made it tougher on myself by making so many mistakes and doing it the way I wanted to do it. Anyway, let's walk through it real quick. So we had to break it up into steps. Number one, we had to get the victim to do a host scan for open port 8080 on, this 192.168 network. And we told it any that you find open, send the response so that we know the IP. Then we, looked at the log to extract the IP. Once we knew the IP, we sent a XSS payload to make sure it was vulnerable to cross-site scripting. And if it worked, it would deliver or request the log, and with a parameter named XSS worked and the value of 1. Once we got that working, then we needed to view the admin page so that we knew what the form looked like and what it needed. So we used the XSS to deliver a payload that built an iframe, and inside the iframe was the an image that got the parent document.body.html and sent that set that as the image URL source, so that as it got executed, it grabbed the contents and then visited that URL, which we were able to read the HTML from that. Once we got that, we knew what the form structure looks like, and here's where that is. And we knew that we could just simply do another XSS attack to automatically submit that form inside an iframe. We used the iframe, got the parent window form, set the value of the user to the user we wanted to delete, and then told it to submit that form. Boom. Once we were done, that was it. Carlos was deleted and we solved it. So this is a long one, a tough one. If you have any comments about how I explained this, the struggles, whatever, if you were able to solve this on your own and did it totally different, let me know. Anyways, thanks to anybody who stuck around this long. I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Thank you so much. Goodbye.